Hey guys, we're back. Last time we dropped the giant spoiler bomb, cover your ears, that in the last chunk, the big 5-part crossover finale of things, Oliver Queen becomes the Spectre.
Arrow is now the Spectre.
Yes.
Who is a completely different DC character.
Yes.
Who is literally like the spirit of God's vengeance, essentially, in DC Comics. So it's like, well, that's a remarkably sudden thing to happen.
I mean, it's... What? This is another good example of DC attempting to copy Marvel's
that is
structure.
such a I mean, for anyone who hasn't seen Endgame, cover your ears now, because that's, I mean, Red Skull and the Hoojama Joojama.
The Chaos Emerald.
The fucking Soul Stone.
Oh, right.
The Stone Keeper. That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, like very, very identical thing to that. Mm-hmm. It's like, we're not done with you yet. You have a stronger purpose or something.
You go over here for now, and like it's just really the crossovers. Like they tried to do what Marvel did with like, you know, 12 movies with 5 TV shows.
Should be noted too, Marvel only successfully did that with their movies. They tried with the shows, and the Defenders was okay. It wasn't particularly good. It was neat, but it was not well written in terms of story.
Yeah, kind of like a meh.
The dialogue was fine, but the story was not great.
No, green goo.
Not to mention, like, it was a story that was clearly, all right, here we go. The Defenders. So what are we going to do with the Defenders? All right, we got this awesome arc planned out for Matt Murdock. Cool. All right, now what else? What else? Okay, Iron Fist. We got something for him, too. Cool. All right, so what about Jessica Jones? Is she going to be part of that?
Yeah.
What? Yes. Yeah, all of them are. Oh, that's awkward. Wait, I didn't have a plan.
We hadn't written anything.
Well, okay, fine, but like, so all right. Well, what if Luke Cage was in Jessica Jones, so whatever you got planned for Luke Cage, just you can put Jessica. You can have her as part of that, and then it's like, about that. I don't know how to. We didn't really plan on Luke either, actually.
Yep.
This was kind of a Daredevil Iron Fist situation. We really liked the Hand. And they both got a thing there.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think that, you know, whatever writers and directors and, you know, creative minds were behind, like, putting together that set of Marvel heroes and putting together this plot. And obviously, it's you know, Infinity War is a plot that exists in Marvel, like, lore and stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's done differently, but it's, you know, it's more or less.
They
like,
had
it's the
the
same
bare
basic
bones
conceit.
there. Yeah. But, I mean, that's the thing. Way back when, somebody tested out the concept of Infinity War, and people were like, this is actually pretty rad.
Yeah.
But then, like, you know, DC attempts to take something that took Marvel years and many attempts to do, and they're just like, let's take all these shows that are otherwise, like, not bad on their merits, and then just start slamming everything together and trying to get that, like, you know, it's like
make the magic happen.
It's the weekly Twitter reaction where they want a trend on Twitter where they're like, "Oh my god,
can you believe
that Superwoman is Batwoman?"
They've been the same all along. The cowl, you couldn't tell.
Just moving super fast in between 2 spots. Like, they want some, like, ridiculous drama thing, like Game of Thrones style, or like the end of one of the Infinity War movies.
It's kind of the problem, right? Is that everyone wants to be the thing, and it's like, you know, there's nothing wrong with just making a very good show that isn't the #1 most talked about thing. If you've got something,
that's fine.
If you've got a show that is consistently like the #4 most talked about thing about the week, that's a really goddamn successful show.
If you have a television show
incredible.
that is still being made, don't fuck with it, because if it's bad, it's going to last a season or 2. Like, if you get to 4, don't go nuts with it.
I mean, like, I have to give, like, DC and Warner Brothers credit that the CW-verse is incredibly ambitious, and they succeeded at most of what they were shooting for, I'd say.
Sure. Yeah, I've heard good things about it here and there, but I think that it may have gone off the rails.
Yeah, they started... Yeah, they got... like, the Flash wound up showing... The The Flash showed a lot of signs of weakness where they just kept doing the same thing every season, and really almost every episode. Because like the biggest problem, this is kind of a systemic problem for DC. Unfortunately, there's not a lot. They would really need to like reboot altogether to fix this, and they would need to fundamentally change things, and people would hate that. And I don't blame them for not doing this, but DC has a real big problem when it comes to their characters outside of comics. In comics, this is fine, but Marvel goes for very human characters that have big powers. DC goes for godly characters who walk among us, kind of thing. Like DC characters, most of the major superheroes are functional gods in terms of their abilities. Like you've got the Flash, who literally can run so fast he can change time.
Yes,
like,
and
there is
Superman, who's just the definition of he's Hercules.
He has what power is that? Oh, he has that.
Yes.
Like Batman can outthink everyone always, including himself.
Yep.
Like that's been the latest thing is they finally went, wow, Batman is so smart that he breaks the fabric of DC. So let's make Batman a villain. And what they did, and they have this whole thing. The Batman who laughs has been the thing for the last like year or two now. They keep bringing
Which is
in
like an interesting kind of concept.
Yeah, the idea is he's a Batman. He's a Bruce Wayne from another universe who either I forget if he killed or allowed the Joker to die.
And he basically turned into the Joker.
Yeah, the Joker had like essentially the way he was killed. It released the Joker toxin. Like he just had the Joker toxin on him, and it drove Batman crazy and basically turned Bruce Wayne into the Joker.
Okay.
So now you have a character as unhinged and maniacal as the Joker, but with all of the forethought and intelligence and deductive reasoning
of
Batman.
Of Batman plus Joker's crazy streak.
The Bat Joker.
So he proceeds in his own universe to kill every other superhero. All of them. Superman, Wonder Woman, everybody. And he starts hopping from universe to universe, collecting other alternate Batmans. The first appearance of him was in one called Batman. Was it Dark Knight? Dark Knight's Metal or something like that. And the idea is he collects his own League of Batmen, which were basically Bruce Wayne from alternate universes where he became other heroes instead, like a universe where Bruce Wayne becomes the Flash, a universe where Bruce Wayne becomes the Green Lantern, one where he becomes Superman, all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And he ultimately gets foiled because the Bruce Wayne figures out what to do. There's literally a point where it's a showdown between Batman and the Joker and the Batman who laughs, and they manage to Batman manages to win because he does the one thing that Batman would never think to do, which is ally himself with the Joker. He gives the Joker an opportunity to shoot the Batman who laughs.
That's funny.
Yeah, and
whereas Batman is usually like very anti-kill unless you have to.
Yep,
like,
and he would never ever. And he's like, what's the one thing? Like, what are the? Like, I don't have many rules.
Made it.
Yeah, what's the one thing I would never do?
Like, I'd never kill, and I would never work with the Joker. So by doing those two things, he catches the Joker, the Batman who laughs off guard, kills him. But then, like, later, he proved to be such a popular villain that they unkill him and use him for, like, a bajillion-d, trillion-d other things.
It's kind of a neat concept. Like, I can understand why people were like, oh, I'm into it.
Sure. He keeps showing up at one point with his own bat cave, and he has his own set of essentially Robins, but he calls them his crows.
Right, I get it.
Okay, there's a certain point where it's like you're taking the theme too far, man.
Yep, but it's like him collecting. It's like a dark, twisted version of Batman where he's collecting like orphan children and turning them into these like flying monkey style like henchmen characters. And so they go to the Batcave and discover that all of the crows are dead. They can't. The Batman who laughs is also dead.
Hey, little girl, you're being adopted by Bruce Wayne. Hooray!
Yeah.
Nope, not that one.
And in the shadows they find one of the crows, and there's like, oh wow, oh thank God, one of you is fine. We can take you back. We can get you right. We can get your head straight and all that. And the kid, like at first, like, oh thank you so much, and then he starts laughing, and they're like, uh-oh, look, you just have to fight it, okay? The toxin can be beaten. And he's like, what would make you think I'd want to beat it? Shazam! And it turns out that it's Billy Batson, who is the hero Shazam.
Bat Shazam?
Who
Evil
gets
Crazy evil Bat Shazam?
Joker Bat Shazam?
Yeah, so the nickname that is given to him, I don't know if it's actually used in the comic, is the Shazam Who Laughs.
Oh.
Where now it's...
I was going to say Bazam or
I
the
know,
Shazat.
right?
Yeah,
But so it's...
Shazat Man.
The thing with Shazam was he was literally created to be a different version. He was originally created to be a more appealing version of Superman when Superman was not as popular.
Yes.
So he's got a lot of the same powers. So now it's like, oh, here's a Superman that is now Jokerified. That's really not good.
So the interesting thing is that it should not be ever claimed that DC is bereft of good ideas.
Yeah.
It's not like all of the most creative and funny and dramatically talented people all decided to work at Marvel and that was it.
Yeah.
It's not like that's the case.
No. I think it's just two different
Sounds like you're about to
really.
say that's the case, though, Jeffrey.
No. The thing is that in a certain era, like, 10, 15 or so years ago, when Marvel started doing better in terms of movies and like their movies got better and
when they actually started making movies that weren't horrendous garbage.
that weren't just like tropic remakes of something but with like Iron Man on it or something.
Yeah.
They really kind of started thinking about their movies. From that point onward, they have had such an immense success that everybody wants to have the next Infinity War.
Yeah.
And it's not because of creativity. It's not because of any of that stuff. It's because
it's just
Infinity
such an
War
unprecedented
and Marvel
thing.
went from being like a successful comic book
Marvel
/
well, they weren't though. They were collapsing hard
Yeah,
for like decades.
Yeah,
They
were not a super profitable thing. They made comic books.
Comic books in general weren't a super profitable
the whole reason
thing
the rights
for
to
a
Spider-Man,
while.
the X-Men, and Fantastic Four went away.
Yep, but Marvel turned it around and turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry. And their movies don't just make, $200 million.
Yeah, they don't just make money. They make money.
They have made
billions of dollars.
They've made 23 movies, and the total amount and the average gross of each movie is about $990 million.
Yep.
Like it is just a sneeze below 23 billion cumulative across 23 movies. That's unheard of to a degree that is like comical.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Every movie production studio and every producer and every capital fund that funds movies said, okay, from now on, all we do are movies that are like Marvel until we make $1 billion. Because everybody was like, oh, comic book heroes, we can make $1 billion.
Yeah.
And somebody with money at DC, I am sure, started saying things like, Marvel made $1 billion.
Yep.
We've lost money on a bunch of our recent things. How do we do this? And that's like the Justice League.
I worked under a Warner Brothers company when Man of Steel and Justice League and Batman v Superman, like all of that stuff was like
choices.
about to burst, and like even in the office we're looking around going, so we all agree that this is them just like straight up photocopying Marvel, right?
Yep.
And we're like, yep, yeah, okay. So we're all right. We're all in agreement. All right, just making sure.